There was a story out there. Let's just get into it. From the Steelers.
Coming out of Pittsburgh, yep.
Coming out of Pittsburgh, one of the longtime beat writers, just talking about Russell Wilson and the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, so according to, now he works for the Pat McAfee. I don't know how that happens. You go from being a beat writer to working for Pat McAfee.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. He did. Yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah. Mark Caboli.
Gesundheit.
Longtime Steelers beat writer and reporter. Worked for various outlets out there. Now works for Pat McAfee. Reported today that Russell Wilson and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, quote, did not have a very good working relationship, but they fought through their differences as best they could. Now, normally it's not a big deal, but the problem with this one is, Rob Parker, Russell Wilson doesn't have a contract for next season.
Right.
The Steelers do not have a QB1 on their roster. Every one of their quarterbacks that ended the season is entering free agency as we speak. So the question then becomes, Rob, are you concerned that this Russell Wilson relationship issue with the offensive coordinator is going to hurt him at the negotiation table and his chances of becoming and maintaining his spot as a Steelers QB1?
I don't think it should. You know this. There are always issues inside of sports and, language and dealing with people. And there are a lot of people who have been very successful. And behind the scenes, what have they had, Rob G? Knockdown dragouts, right? Behind the scenes.
Shout out to the Odd Couple.
There you go.
Yeah.
But we still get the show done, don't we?
Right. Yep.
So you get my point there. But I'm going to say this. For people who think automatically, hey, just get rid of Russell Wilson. I'm sorry. Rob G, he wasn't the issue to me with this Steeler team. Because to me, if you're honest, even after Fields started out 4-2, did the Steelers not take it to a different level the next few games once he got in the starting quarterback?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
They opened up the game. They were throwing the ball around the yard. He had a fantastic, 5-game winning streak, correct?
Yes, correct.
That took them to 9-2 or something. They were off and running.
At one point, they were 10-3.
10-3, and I get it because it ended sour. If you mixed in a couple of those losses, Rob G, and not had it be 5 in a row to end the year or whatever, right, with the playoffs, it wouldn't feel as bad, right? If you did it the other way around.
Right.
Say they mixed in and they didn't have a 5-game winning streak, but they won 10 games.
It'd be the Lions from a few years ago.
Exactly. And you would feel like, they're optimistic.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
I get it when you lose the last 5 and you lose the way you did in the playoffs where you got dominated and you saw the Ravens run the ball 13 straight times down your throat for a touchdown, right? So I get all that. But I don't think it's Russ. And I'm not saying Russ is the Russ who was in Seattle that went back-to-back Super Bowls and won one and could have won 2 if he didn't throw that terrible pick in the end zone. The Steelers have other issues. The defense. The quarterback play. Rob G, do you disagree with this, that the quarterback play was better than they've had in years from Russell Wilson?
I mean, it's a very low bar to clear, Rob.
No, I agree,
fair.
but is it better?
Yes. This year, leaps and bounds better than what they've had the last few years.
Okay, so 95.6 quarterback rating for Russell Wilson.
Right.
Justin Fields, 93.3, so he was even improved what Justin Fields did in the first 4-2 start. Kenny Pickett, 79.3. Mitch Trubisky, 76.4. Mason Rudolph, 75.1. And Duck Hodges, 71.4. But let's think about the defense. Isn't that the backbone to the Steelers?
The steel curtain, yep.
It's about their defense. I'm talking about defense. During their losing streak, they gave up 27, 34, 29, 19, and 28. And I just told you about the Ravens and how they steamrolled them and ran the ball down their throats. Hey, guess what? We're running on this down. Guess what? On second down, Rob G, we're running on second down. We dare you to stop us. We're running on third down, fourth down, fifth down, sixth down, seventh down, right? 13 straight plays. You get my point.
I do.
All right. I know people say it's crazy. Where are you going to go? Like, seriously, if I'm the Steelers, Russ should be, you get a quarterback who's going to be your next guy right? You should have, no, I'm not talking about a big contract or anything for Russ. One more year, but you have to have somebody who's going to be your quarterback. I just don't think it's Justin Fields. I don't. Even with the 4-2 start, they would not have made a change if they really believed Justin Fields was their quarterback of the future. What would have been the purpose of Russell Wilson if you really believed that after watching the first 6 games?
I think, Rob, everything you said is correct, right? Because they've had some of the worst quarterback play in the NFL, especially for a good team.
They really have.
Ever since Big Ben. I mean, even when Big Ben was there the last few years, he
was bad.
He wasn't good. But in the post-Big Ben era, they've had the worst quarterback play by far of any playoff-type team in the NFL. Where I disagree with you is this. Down the stretch of the season, the last 5 games you mentioned, they lose 5 straight. They never scored more than 17 points in any of those 5 games. Across the last 5 games, their offense averaged 14 points a game. Now, say what you want about Justin Fields.
Did the Los Angeles Rams, what did they average their last 4 games?
The last 3 when they played the starters was 14. They scored 28 with all the backups in. So somewhere around there.
Okay, so I'm just saying.
Right.
And they just won a playoff game and go into the
next
round.
And they put it on Minnesota.
Okay.
Now, with Justin Fields, got tons of limitations as a passer. That's well documented, right? There was a stat that we had last year that he was the bottom 5 in NFL history in terms of 300-yard games as a starter and things like that. So he's very limited. Even with that with that offense, they were averaging almost 19 points a game. So Justin Fields, as limited as he is, the threat of his legs alone made them more explosive.
But I think
and with Russell Wilson, he was great in the middle part of the season. Towards the end of the year, when teams started to kind of figure out what he could and couldn't do anymore, especially in that system, they had a cap that you just could not overcome. So I think if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, your receiver situation is very lukewarm at best. George Pickens might be off the team with the way he's been acting, in the media.
Well, that's another thing too. Russ didn't have
a lot of weapons.
Right.
Okay,
let's just be honest.
Deontay Johnson, who they had before the season, just got cut and claimed again. This was the 3rd time in 6 weeks. Right.
I was going to say in a month. Right. It feels like it at least.
Najee Harris is very pedestrian. Jalen Warren's okay. Their offensive line is not good. So when you have that kind of limitation across your offensive roster, you need your quarterback to be able to do things beyond the scope of the offense. And Russell Wilson just can't do that anymore.
Yeah, but I don't. Justin Fields, even with the 4-2, you got to admit, it's limited. And if you're a team and you know this guy can't throw the football consistently, I don't know how a defensive coordinator can't work that out. Well, I dare you. I would make you throw the football. You know what I mean?
Well, see, I think that's the reason why Mike Tomlin made the switch to Russell Wilson,
and it paid off.
And it paid off at least immediately. I mean, once they got Russell Wilson in there, the Steelers' points went from 17, 32, 37, 26, 28, 18, 19, 44 on
Remember
the Bengals.
The big
and
Bengals,
27
right.
before the bottom fell out.
And that's what I'm saying. It changed the dynamic. And at one point, people were like, "Oh, the Steelers in the mix." Why
I thought they were in the mix,
right? Why would we think that they're not in the mix? They have a decent defense, but their defense didn't play well at the end either.
No.
Pickens also missed some balls. There was some miscommunication.
He missed a lot
Am I
mentally
right?
and emotionally.
Yeah, something was wrong with him. Normally, he's a way better player than that. So there was a couple things. And I'm just saying, to just pick out the quarterback when you just gave up, when you were dominated, I'm talking about offensively.
Yeah, their issues go way beyond the quarterback.
It's just too easy to just say, "Oh, Russ, look at what happened the last 5 games. Look at the other part. Look what potentially he was able to open up." That's the part that I'm saying. That was what happened in those 5 games where they were scoring points and moving the football.
Right.
He can throw the football.
He still throws, for my money, the best deep ball in the league.
It's pretty.
But like I was saying earlier, I think they made the switch to Russell Wilson. It was a Mike Tomlin call, clearly, right? Because that's the call the head coach makes. You could tell by reading the tea leaves what with Arthur Smith, the OC, was saying, is it felt like he wanted to keep Justin Fields, that he was aware of the limitations across the roster. Now, in the short term, Tomlin was proven right because of how explosive they became. But once teams kind of caught up to it, it's like, hey, if we take away the deep ball to Pickens, Russ, is not mobile like he used to be. He's not really seeing the field the way that he used to in Seattle. And he's very quick to check it down and kind of live to punt and play defense. And their offense just didn't have the playmakers to play like that the rest of the way. The defense, as you mentioned, was leaking oil down the stretch.
Well, that's the other issue, is that that's not Steeler defense.
No. And so I think that they are aware that in order for, at least the offensive coordinator was, and we'll see how Tomlin feels, in a couple of weeks when it comes to contract time, is they need more than what Russell Wilson can give them. That's the problem.
All right.